We are starting off 2025. I'm Harvey Free. He's Harry Glanz.
Welcome to 2025, everybody. Listen, new show, new time, 7, or not at 7 a.m. Boy, that would be crazy. 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. We've been going 25 years from 9 to 10. We backed it up, and the reason they backed it up is because everybody wants to talk about the Lions, the Tigers, the Red Wings, and the Pistons. For once, right now, all our teams are ascending. So who wants to hear a bunch of mortgage people on the radio? And they want to talk about sports. So we're at 8 to 9, and that's really good. It lets us do what we do. And we brought in, for the first show of the new year, we brought in fantastic guests, Harvey. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's Dana Cooper and Laurie Glass, Cooper Glass Homes, Maxbrook Realty, all over Southeast Michigan. Welcome to the show again, guys.
So great to be here.
We put you in like 2 or 3 times a year. This year, for sure, at least 3 times.
We said we have to get them on the first show of the year, and here's the greatest thing about it. The greatest thing about it is we have, if you check our history and who do we have usually on the first show of the year to start out right, we have people that are engaging, energetic. It's a new year. Let's go. Everybody's making their plans. So we call Laurie and Dana, and they go, "Are you just having them on the show because you start at 8 o'clock?" No. We're having you guys on the show, and we talked about it, is because you guys are really good at what you do. You guys work hard, and most of all, you bring a lot of energy and passion to your profession. And that's what, we try to do that too, but we always want to be aligned with people that are like-minded. You guys are phenomenal.
We appreciate it so much. We're honored. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Same to you. And again, it's like, Laurie, I say to you, what's going on today? It's like 4 listings. Dana had 2 closings and a showing and inspection. Yeah. You guys are constantly busy and in the mix. And that's important because nowadays you got to be working with the top professionals to keep what's going on with the trends that are out there. And you guys have your hand on the pulse, especially in the cities that you really represent.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody who's looking in Boston, and they said, just tell me like the things that I need to know when picking a realtor. And I'm like, somebody who knows what's going on in the area, somebody who really understands the area, somebody who's negotiated a lot of deals and really understands, right, the landscape.
And we constantly are hearing changes going on here. Now, and even with this crazy snow going on, and Dana, you mentioned an inspection. I'm like, today an inspection? Well, you're not going to be able to see anything. And again, these are smart people. They came out yesterday before the 3 or 4 inches hit the roof, and you can see they came out yesterday and did a roof inspection.
Absolutely.
Even check it out.
Right. You gotta adapt.
Especially here in Michigan.
Well, I think that's very, very important when you give advice. When you're talking about advice, you're giving advice from the heart. You're giving advice on how you would want to be treated, how your kids would want to be treated, How everybody in your family would want to be treated, because if you give that solid advice, it can never come back to haunt you. So you only do things that you would give advice to your closest friends and your family, and that's how you build those relationships. And doing this for a long time like you guys have, it's only about the relationship that you have.
Absolutely.
Now sometimes you've got to give that hard news. You've got to give that news to say, listen, I know you want this for the house, but let me show you what's going on in the market. And you have those discussions with people, right?
Listen, my son is looking, he's 28.
Great.
He bought a condo when he was 19. He did his PhD, sold it. He was in Wisconsin for a year, just came back, and now he wants to buy a property up north. And it's like, I'm on the phone with him for 3 hours. I hang up. I said to my husband, there goes my hardest client.
Right. The toughest client. Right.
I've got to tell him, like, I don't like it. I don't like the area. This is the history of the house. I'm giving him the good, the bad, the ugly. And I'm to tell you, it's no different. It's not a different conversation than any other client we're going to have. We're going to research everything, let them know everything. They should know you're right. Treat them like family.
Yeah, because you click right in. You go from mom mode to professional mode,
That's
right? And it clicks right like that. And you're going in and you're going down all your mental checklist of everything that you would do when you talk to a client, because it's ingrained, it's embedded. It's those things that come naturally when you're out there and you're advising people. So, we talk about it and everybody says, well, Harry, what's going to happen for 2025? Okay, now, if I had that, like Harvey said, we go buy the lottery ticket and then we donate all the money to charity. All right, it's not going to happen. All right, we don't know what's going to happen in 25. We just can feel things, and we've been around, we've seen the trends, and 2025 is going to be a lot like 2024. Everybody was hoping that rates would go down because they went up. I think, and we talked about it, we've got to stop thinking about rates going down, because right now, everybody out there, I don't know who you're talking to, but if they're telling you rates are going down right now, they're not. They're actually going the other way. Jobs report came out. Americans are gainfully employed. People are still spending money. The inflation number is going up. Interest rates are tied to inflation. Mortgage rates are. When inflation goes up, there's no reason for the Federal Reserve to continue to lower rates at a very, very accelerated level. They're not going to do it. So what do we think for 2025? I'll ask you what you think about the real estate market. I'm going to tell you what we think about the mortgage market. We think rates are going to stay basically within 0.25% to 0.5% range where they are right now, which, by the way, if you take a look at the national average, they're over 7%. All right. And when we say over 7%, that's with 0 points. Now, you can go on the internet, you can do all this. When somebody says you can get 6.625, you're paying for it. That's not what we're all about. But we're not here to discuss that right this second. What we're here to discuss is what the trend is for your buyers. Your buyers, I'm telling you right now, we believe that the rates are trending up. They'll continue to level off, but they're not going down to 5.5 or 6. They're just not.
Right. So I think what I'm seeing is that the buyers have been there. So I don't think the interest rates have really slowed down buyers. The situation's been the lack of inventory. There was no listings, right? So that's who it's been slowing down, is the people who are in their houses who say, yeah, I don't really need to move. You know, I'll wait for, I am locked in at 3%. You know, I don't want to give that up. That we're starting to see release a little bit. We have a lot of listings coming, which is really surprising in January to be like this busy, which is great. So I feel confident about the start of 2025 and what the potential outlook could be. And that could help free up some inventory and have some buyers get some more houses.
Is that primarily the empty nesters that you're seeing maybe, or just
No,
other
it's
families
all over
looking
the
at
board.
maybe moving to a different house, different
Yeah.
school districts?
It's a-
Buyers.
It's a mix. We talked about it before we went on the air, right, Harry, that people are just tired of waiting for that rate to go down. They just want to live their lives. Right? We saw that during COVID. It didn't matter what was happening. It's like, if I'm going to move, I'm going to move now. And I think that's really true about what's happening now. We're always sort of off and running right after January 1st, but this is solidly in the first 10 days was sellers. Now I'm showing all day today. I've got 6 different buyers. I'm going to be showing all day. So buyers are getting excited. They're ready, but sellers are releasing. Very surprising. So many of them,
Because they're getting ready for what's coming up, and they've realized and they've settled into really the reality. And the reality is there's nothing going to happen with things going down dramatically. And as a matter of fact, on your end, home prices are not coming down.
No,
They're going up. So the more you've waited, we talked about it in 24, we talked about 23, we talked about it in 22. If you wait till that next year, you're going to pay anywhere between 5 and 10% more minimum. So, excuse me, on a $200,000 house, you're talking about $20,000. On a $400,000 house, let's do the math. It's $40,000 more. So your waiting is costing you money. So you're waiting for a situation that's not going to happen, and you're paying more money on the other end. So I believe that the people that you're dealing with and all around the country, they're talking about they just have to move on from the thought process that they're tied to a specific number that rates are going to go down to.
yeah. Even my son said to me, I said, I don't know, like, do we want to see what's going to happen? You know, and he's like, first of all, I want to get settled. And second of all, he's financially very savvy. And he's like, this rates do not drive whether I buy a house, right? It's not what drives me. I understand the market goes up, the market goes down. I can refinance. I'm not going to worry about, you know, it could be 10,000 less or more at any given time. It's not going to change. People want to get settled.
So we talked about that, Harvey, a long time for a number of years in everyday life, that people have to do what's best for them, okay? I know they want to listen to everybody out there and get a million different opinions. But when it comes down to it, you got to put pen to paper and do the math. All right? You've got to do what's best for you. Can you afford it? Can we make the move? We want to do this. We want to do that. And if it's best for you, you should do it. The waiting game is never good.
Don't listen to us. Listen to the kid who graduated from Ross Business School, University of Michigan. Listen to these smart young generation. And again, we are the old folks in the room, you know, and a lot of times you got to hear it from the younger people. The smart young people, they're definitely.
Yes, they are.
I got a client. He's an actuary now. I mean, really smart young people out there making great moves. The numbers you can't deny these numbers. The median sales price in the 50 most populous areas across the United States. I had a little list here, but Warren, Michigan was up 11.3%. So let's just say that in a starter community, Warren, of course,
Yep.
all the way down about north of 8 Mile, all the way up to like 12 or 13 Mile Road. And you got this huge city there with all sorts of different kind of inventory, up 11%. And then Detroit's close to 8% appreciation. So as Harry's saying, the numbers don't lie and chase the interest rate because these homes are going up. And in certain areas, maybe even in your backyard, guys, are you looking at 10% appreciation? Sure, why not? The same $600,000 house that sold, let's just say in Huntington Woods. Okay, next year it's probably going to be worth about $660,000. That's not too far of a stretch.
No, I had an offer in last week on an under 500 without a garage, a bungalow.
Yeah.
And I came in over 500 nicely. Not the agent said I wasn't even close.
Yeah. Well, listen, there are certain communities.
Prices are just going up.
Everybody wants to live in certain areas, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's been happening there. I know that area really well. Grew up across the street, know the school district. I'm a proud graduate of Berkeley High. Know the area, went to Norrup, all right? So I don't have to tell you, Burton is a great elementary school. We know everything about certain areas. And I can tell you this, that area, prices are not coming down.
Alrighty, folks, you are listening to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate and Business Show. We're in our 25th year right here on 97.1 The Ticket. Our new time, 8 to 9 o'clock. Don't worry, we got Pat Caputo. He's coming up with sports and a whole lot more. Keep it here. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our show, 8:15. If you're just joining, it's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. We take your calls about mortgages and real estate. When you want to be educated, definitely call the show at 248-539-9797. We just share some great information. And the best guest, always the best agents and title companies, Laurie Glass, Dana Cooper join us from Cooper Glass Homes. You guys can be reached and work all around Southeast Michigan. What's the best number?
You can reach us at 248-658-8030, and it
Love
rings
to
to,
hear from
both. And it rings to both of us.
You get them both. Always call us at Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. We'll get you set up with all the great agents. And we sort of choose when, if you say you're looking in these areas, we typically know, Harry, wherever it is, including anywhere across the state of Michigan.
We have a nice referral network of realtor partners that we go in. And the bottom line is that you have to have a relationship with people because in this competitive market, if you've worked with somebody before, and if you're out there, everybody working with a realtor, that realtor that knows the area, they have connections with other realtors. So when they go ahead and they show a house and they're familiar with the listing agent, chances are they're going to be able to talk a little bit more and get a transaction completed rather than working with a stranger. And what did your parents always tell you about strangers? Don't talk to strangers. You have to talk to people that have relationships and that have these referral networks, because your likelihood of completing a transaction successfully, and in this case, let's just say it, getting an offer accepted, are much higher. Much higher.
Yeah, I mean, people want to work with people they know, and that's true from agent to agent. If you know the Cooper Glass team gets the job done, we're blessed to have attention when we call, and they know us. Right?
So, well, it's I don't want to say incestuous. It's a bad word, and at 8:17 in the morning, it's a big word on a Saturday morning.
Small world.
But right, it's a small world, and when we have a borrower and there's a PA, we get the purchase agreement, and I see Cooper Glass or a number of realtors, I call them right away. I go, guys, here's the story. This is we never give out any personal financial information, but we always say, listen, it's all approved. We collected all the financial information, ran all the credit, we verified assets. This is a solid offer, and our approval letters are bona fide approval letters. They're not just written on a piece of paper just to appease anybody. We've done the deep dive into it. So when I call, or Harvey calls, or everybody calls at our office, and we talk to that realtor, it's a done deal already because we've done the homework. And so when I get to call you and I say, hey, and because you'll call me, I'll call you, and you'll say, so what's with Bill? And I'll say, well, Bill and Molly are really good. All right, so this is really a solid transaction, and you guys will have faith in it that you could present it to your seller with conviction.
So the biggest piece of advice, right, is work with a great lender. It's not just about, right, you need more than just an agent partner, right? You need a great lender to really help you understand the numbers. It's such a huge piece of buying the house. Yes, you want to find the criteria that you want in the house, the number of bedrooms, all those things equally as important. A great lender, we know when that file passes your desk, we know that one's going to close.
And listen, because this is a consumer advocacy show and we want to give advice and we want to be neutral, there are a lot of great lenders out there. There are. They're just, if there was one really good lender, everybody'd be working there. So it's not, if everybody had the lowest rates, everybody'd be working there. If everybody had the best, it's not that way. That's why there are a lot of different people, a lot of different lenders out there. But for the consumer out there, how many times do you get an approval letter and the deal flips? I mean, I have to know that. And I think that's something that Harvey and I always think about, because we think that we don't have loans flip. We don't. And what that means, everybody out there, is that if we guarantee or we send an approval letter out, that loan closes. There is a segment out there, you guys have seen it, you've been around, and we hear it because we get the second and third call on this was approved, but it's really not approved. Do you see that often? Probably, maybe not with the clients you work with, but do you hear about that?
Well, it's not even the clients. We are very, very serious about vetting any buyers on behalf of our sellers. So we know the lenders. We call on every single one.
As
right?
it should be.
If we get multiple offers, there's a high offer and a low offer, we call on every single one. We want to hear, because you know what? The highest offer isn't always the best. It's the one who has that great lender, who that one's going to close. Maybe that's the buyer we want to work with, instead of just somebody who came in with a really high offer and not a strong pre-approval.
Yeah, we see something blow up like that. All of a sudden, they don't have the funds to close. It just upsets usually 2 or 3 different transactions and breaks down the whole, really the honesty of the whole industry as people don't even have their funds to close. We had bad pre-approval letters. Forget all that bad stuff. Let's talk about some great stuff out there and all these great listings. Tell me about one of the new listings you might have. That's a really cool house that's going to hit the market, or maybe one right now, or if not that, tell me about one of the buyers and what you saw out there when you looked at that most recent home.
Gosh, we got a lot of really good listings coming. So how do you
pick
one?
Pick one.
We've got a couple coming in Huntington Woods. They're
well, Dana, people want to buy there.
Tudor style, which everybody wants that. We've got Novi. We've got
Royal
condo.
Oak, and we've got a condo in Novi. We've got a little
what's the price on that one?
Bungalow in Royal Oak.
I like the condo in Novi. Talk to me about that one. What's the price on that? And what amenities do you get for? roughly 2-bedroom, 2 bath.
They could be listening. The people could be listening out there.
So and here's another thing, guys. So we don't pick a price until the day we list. So we may discuss a price with our sellers, but the truth is it might be a month from now, 2 weeks from now.
Right.
So we say, you know what, we have to reevaluate the day we put this on the market because we want to understand what the conditions are. Has anything new sold? Did the current active listing we may have used as an idea for a comp? Did it sell higher? Did it sell lower? So we know about an amount, right? And that's another thing. You go into listing appointments, people really care about that number. But the truth is, right? It's not about the number. We're going to list it where you want to list it. All we can do is advise, but there are strategies and techniques to get the highest price. That's what.
So, Harvey, here's what I'm hearing, okay? And it's not unlike what we do. Everybody wants to talk. What's the first thing everybody asks you? You're a mortgage person. What do they say? What's your rate? Yeah. Okay, here's the deal. Somebody asked them, okay, what are you going to list it at? It's more than that. There's so many things involved because it's an individual situation unto that property and that seller. So you just can't say, well, hey, what can I get for my house? You got to do some homework here. What's the interest rate? Well, what's your credit score? How much money do you have in the bank? I mean, how much, what do you make?
Right.
I mean, it's not about that. You just can't say, what can I get for my house and what's the mortgage rate? It's more complicated than that. And that's what you guys are saying. This is not easy stuff.
No, it's
right,
not.
and it's a strategy. I'm like, if your house is worth $700,000, don't list it for $800,000. Right? Because they're right.
Because the market's savvy, right? People are on Zillow and Realtor. They know what a house in your neighborhood with your number of baths, with your level of updates in the kitchen and the baths, they know what it should be. They're not going to be fooled, right? The minute you try and fool them, that's when things don't go well. You've got to deliver it to them in all aspects.
So everybody's more savvy, Harvey. But I'm going to tell you this. You want to go on the internet, they're going to the wrong places because this is a national survey. I'm going to put it up for the camera.
What is all that?
No,
it fell off. It fell off.
Oh, it fell off. Oh, sorry about it. I don't know. Whatever.
What are you showing us?
I'm showing you national mortgage rates and how they're trending. In the red means they're going up. That's what they're doing. And if you want to know what things are, you've got to talk to the right people. That's why you've got to call the realtors that are specific to that area, but are working with those sellers specific to that property. Because it's more than what's my house going to sell for and what's my interest rate going to be.
Yeah, there's no doubt the market and the interest rates, things are always changing. Mishta just announced last week that they're bumping up a little bit even. Yes, so they were offering at the $10,000 down payment assistance program 6 3/8. That went up to 6 5/8. Still a great program. And of course, we will be announcing Mishta increased their sales purchase price. And there's reasons that we're going to be talking about that as we get a little bit closer as they release that at the end of March. Also, the new income limit. So there's going to be a lot of changes here in the state of Michigan to help some first-time home buyers. But guys, that's going to bring out more and more buyers. And that's what we're really telling folks now. Maybe there's this 2-month window left. You got the rest of January, maybe February, and maybe a piece of March. This kind of weather might scare some buyers away, but now might be this window or this pocket before we flip to 2025 prices. Is that part of the conversation you guys have now when you sit down with somebody?
We just had this conversation with
good.
somebody, right?
I hit it right.
We just yesterday. First of all, as a seller, there's nothing for sale. So you have very little competition, and everybody wants your property because buyers want to move. So it's a great time to sell. People say, is it a good time to sell? Absolutely. There's nothing on the market, right? So everybody wants your property. And for a buyer, certainly it's a good time to buy. You can wait till spring. More properties may come up, but then there's more competition for that house.
Right.
So you have to decide the environment that's best for you, right, as a buyer.
everybody thinks there's a season, right? Do you know why everybody thinks there's a season? Because the sheep flock to that time of year. The real smart, savvy buyers are buying when the weather's like this outside, or the sellers really want. Everybody says, "Well, I don't want somebody to come through my house in the snow and everything." No, that's when you want people to come through the house, because people who are out shopping now are serious.
Exactly.
Right? They're really serious about it.
Truth.
So if you're a seller, you could get the highest and best now compared, and I'm not going to say compared, because when there's less competition, when there's more competition, it's going to drive prices up. But right now, people are serious. You don't have to worry about somebody they don't want to traipse through your house either.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we sell all year, right? We make this statement. We've sold on Christmas Eve. We've sold on Christmas Day. We sold on New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve.
Living, right.
Yeah.
Right. No, that's very true. So we encourage people to, really the spring market starts end of January, right?
Yeah.
It's not, March, April. It's let's start now.
All right, running into a lot of first-time home buyers, and sometimes the younger kids, including our kids, because they're at that age now, where they haven't established a lot of credit recently. So sometimes, instead of them being able to get into a conventional mortgage, there's other mortgages out there. The FHA program allows for a little bit more leniency and still great interest rates. So we're constantly educating on that side. And one of the hurdles that I had years ago, probably 30 years ago, and even 25 years ago, that I don't have anymore, is there was always a stigma back in the day with FHA purchases. FHA's loan limits are close to $500,000 now. So a lot of the first-time home buyers will make that FHA offer. And you guys are professionals. You typically, these homes, and especially as FHA goes into 300 to 500, these homes are really nice. Years ago, FHA buyers were looking at sort of the bottom of the barrel stuff. There wasn't flips back 30 years ago, but now, right, first-time home buyers do get a look at that, where someone might have purchased a house that was distressed, or grandma had lived there for 40 years and didn't update anything. And now there's these great opportunities. So FHA is this great mortgage out there, and I hear the music back in my ear. So when we come back, I'll let you guys answer their questions. Is there anything scary out there? Is it all about communications? Tons of information to share with you. 827 here in Southeast Michigan, 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. All righty, 8:30. If you're just joining us, it's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, our 25th year. I want to thank everyone for allowing us to give you some great information.
How many years
here.
have we been doing this on the radio?
20. This will be our 25th
It is our
here,
25th
finally.
year going in. We appreciate that, everybody. And it's a lot of fun doing it, a lot of fun being real information. Why do we call it the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate and Business Show? Because we give you hardcore information. Sometimes you like it, sometimes you don't, but it's going to be honest. It's going to be, in our opinion, what we feel are the right things to do. You can agree, you can disagree, but it's always going to be honest and trustworthy. But Harvey, you want to get into a topic right now that is a very serious topic.
I will. We're going to get into to share for everyone. We like to share really some educational, meaningful conversations here. And of course, Dana's here, Dana Cooper's here, and Laurie Glass is here. So if you want to call in, we do take your calls live here in the studio at 248. Don't ticket text us now, 248-539-9797. Again, if you want to talk about what's going on with your property, the condition of your property, things of that nature, things that you might not want to discuss with somebody else, share it with us and we can help you. But we can talk about the scammers, Harry. The scammers
I
are
love
out.
this.
Oh, I hate this. Well, a whole bunch of things are going. The scammers are out in bunches trying to steal and cause havoc in so many new and old ways. And that's what's really scary about it. So the quick story that I have, and Harry will have a story, and we all have been touched by this. We're all getting these stranger texts. You can't click them. So again, there's no USPS is not sending you a package. We're talking about that. The Help Me Hank and all these people. Yeah. They'll warn you about that. But sure enough, somebody that I know closely got a phone call from DTE Energy saying that they didn't pay their electric bill and it hadn't been paid for a few months. And the other person in the room, and this story was repeated back to me, said, well, wait a minute, what property are they talking about? So it's the first question she asked, and it was a scam call. So the scammers are out. They look like they're legit, but the IRS doesn't call you. Yeah. DT Energy doesn't call you. Folks, nobody calls you. They will send you a letter, and then you can double check it. And just because you get the letter, that could be because it's recorded information. So you didn't miss your mortgage payment for 3 months.
Yeah. And you got everybody out there, just please, you have to do yourself a favor. If you don't know who you're dealing with, you better call people that you have relationships with. That's number one. Don't answer email that you don't know who it's coming from.
Right.
Just delete it. If it's that important and somebody knows you, then they will call you and say, hey, even if they call you on the phone, don't give them information. Don't give out your social security number, your credit card. Don't do that. We hear all the horror stories on it. Mortgage information is recorded at the county. No matter where you live, it's recorded. People buy lists, and then they go ahead and they mass mail you. They will get your phone number. They'll call you. They'll email you. They'll search out your information. If you don't know who you're dealing with, don't give out your private information. Please don't do it. And I hear this happening to seniors. All right. Now, I'm not going to tell you I'm a senior or not. You guys determine if I am or not. But these people are getting scammed with their life savings that people, you know, your grandson is in trouble. Go ahead and
friend got that one.
And right.
It's
so
insane.
They're all out there. Harvey got the Nigerian lotto scam and called it.
I even had them send me a check, Harry, which was illegal. It was about 15 years ago. They're just out there in bunches.
And now is the season, okay? Yeah. They're doing it around the holiday time. They want you to engage with them. The best thing you could do is ignore it and hit delete. And Harvey, this is one of the things that goes right to my core. You just have to call somebody that you know and trust. All right? And we're there for you. We will go ahead and we will vet it for you. We'll investigate it for you, and it's free. Even if it's not a mortgage call, even if it's not a real estate call, if it's that DTE call and somebody calls our office and say, hey, I heard you on the radio. Will you check this out for me? We trust you guys. All right?
You can
just call us, and we'll figure it out for you. But it's bad. I get mass mailers, mass text, and everything, and these calls to my cell phone are killing me.
My mom's 97, so she gets a phone call, I don't know, a month or 2 months ago. I can't remember. Your daughter ordered you a new walker, and we just need your credit card number.
Boy, yes.
So, I mean, some people would be like, oh, my daughter, or, you know, my
your
mom.
mom's
Your mom's like, no walker for me.
Yeah, my mom yelled at him and hung up. I'm calling the police. But she's good. But
it scares me.
But when it comes to mortgages and real estate, right, one of the things we do is when we sit down with buyers and sellers, that's part of our discussion. We have actual forms that are customer fraud warnings that tell people, like, if there's an email that says you have to send this amount of money in order to close on Friday, Like, don't believe it. Right.
Wire fraud is what you're talking about. Wire fraud is running rampant in the mortgage, real estate, title company industry. We're all interconnected, and we all get these email out. You better call. It's like you better check twice and 3 times. Unfortunately, that's what's going on in our society right now. So that's even more important to know who you're dealing with. So, yeah, very sensitive about that, Harvey. You got me jacked up.
Good. I want to. That's awesome stuff. And we again look out for your relatives and share this kind of information. I share it with my kids. I share it with my mom and her husband and such. So very important stuff. All right, the scammers are out there. Beware. We'll move on to another subject. Before we went to the break, and we will take your calls at 248-539-9797. We started talking about some other programs. And Laurie, it's great to hear. You ended up purchasing your first home.
Yes,
it was the house behind your house that you grew up in.
Yep.
And it was used FHA, Federal Housing Administration. It's one of the loans that when I first got in the industry, I learned a lot about it my first 2 years. Got to go back to the 1990 on that. And that's how I bought my first house. And most of our FHA buyers, Laurie, it's just the opportunity to get in with little down, 3.5% down is the minimum. Sellers can pay all these closing costs up to 6%. They can cover all your closing costs. You can manipulate the sales price. Keeping that money in your pocket for our first-time home buyers is so key because they don't have a lot of money. They just graduated. They don't have a lot of credit. These are great loans. And you guys are feeling hopefully a little bit better about them. And I hope all the agents now know, I don't care if the loan says VAF. They're all the same. They can close within 30 days.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it used to be the FHA, you saw it as a listing agent when you got offers. You went, nervous.
Yeah, right.
But I certainly think they're a lot easier, faster, not what they used to be for sure. And they allow people who have either low credit or low, not so much cash to put down. It allows them to buy a house. And listen, it's always going to be better to own than to rent. That's the bottom line. It's an opportunity for those people to do that.
The difference in an FHA loan now compared to 30-some years ago that you're talking about, and the reason why realtors were reluctant to accept them is because they felt that they would nitpick on appraisal or property inspection, whatever it was. It's not that way now. Really, it's only about health and safety issues within a house. GFI plugs, steps, handrails going down the steps. And these are all things that you guys, as real estate agents, you want your people to be protected. So if you walk in a house and there's no railing going down the stairs, well, that's got to get fixed anyways. That's a health and safety issue.
It's all good stuff.
$150.
So
it's all good
FHA,
stuff.
but what FHA allows you to do, the flexibilities that you have in like debt ratios, certain things are a little bit different, and we use it. And this is our saying forever and ever. We've been doing FHA loans since Harvey came on board over 30 years ago. Money's money. It's green. Whether I wire money for an FHA loan or I wire money for a jumbo loan or a conventional loan or all the buzzwords, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, it's still green. It's money. It doesn't matter. It's where we place the loan. It has nothing to do with upfront with what you guys are doing. It really doesn't.
I think, too, that agents are a lot sharper. No, it's a good compliment.
I'm going to write that down, Harvey. I'm going to write that down. Today's date, Harvey said that.
Dictionary that. Forget about that. No, but no doubt with the internet, with just the way it's a whole new world out there. I mean, again, we've seen the way that people are buying houses. It's changed. It's really dramatically changing as the internet's jumped in. Again, the olden days, the MLS had control. I'm not sure why they gave that control to that other company, Zillow or whatever. Yeah. And that's starting to be messy. And again, I don't want to throw them under the bus here. You'll look at me weird if I threw out Redfin or something like that. Those haven't been the best agents I've been working with, and I'm complimenting agents here. Right. Dana, I'm looking at you and saying some of the agents are a lot smarter than they ever were, and they're sharp, and there's great communication skills. And then there's the 90% that's not. Correct. And it's such a bummer.
Is that a compliment? Did you just give? Is that a backhanded compliment?
Yeah,
well,
it's sort of my nature.
Yeah. It's sort of
it might be true. Yeah. Well, Harry told me once, Harvey, it might be true, but no one wants to hear it from you, dude.
You have to be. Don't be the messenger on that. But I will say this: that what you're trying to say, and what you did really say, is that people are getting more educated. They're reading more. They're looking at things more. But you can't just click and read 10 seconds. All right? If you read it, read the whole article. Then make sure you call somebody to verify. It's called trust and verify, right? All right, trust what you're reading, maybe, but then verify it. And don't read it for 10 seconds and say, okay, this is gospel now. All right? Really do a deeper dive. And people are getting a lot of information off their phone. And if it takes them 10 seconds to read it, they become experts. Kind of not in the real world. But yeah, we are seeing a lot of agents that are doing their homework now. and the same thing in the mortgage industry. It's really weeding out, okay, the good ones and the bad ones. And the majority of realtors, do 2 or 3 transactions a whole year. I mean, you can look at it. Mortgage licenses renewals are down right now 40% from last year. So that means 40%, 60% of the people that were licensed last year are licensed this year. 40 dropped out. All right, and it's going to continue because just like, look, we're symptomatic of your industry too. If there are no sales, there's no mortgage people. And that's just a condensed version of it. But the bottom line is that we are going ahead and we're seeing people that are more experienced rather than less experienced. And to me, that's always good.
And, the truth is, people always say, I think people are intimidated to ask us questions, right? And I'm like, the more questions you ask, the better this transaction is going to go. Do not ever be intimidated. No, there's no bad question. You're buying a house. I always say to people, you're not buying boots at the mall and you could just take them back if it doesn't work. It's a big deal. It's a lot of money. There's no bad question. Ask them all.
You guys are great. This is good stuff.
We'll keep it rolling here. We got one more segment here, so keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. We'll take your calls, 248-539-9797. I think we're going to dive into insurance. Little scary things going out west for sure. So we're reaching out.
Yeah, and down south in Florida.
We're going to talk about insurance. You got said Florida. We got California going on. Our insurance costs might go up a little bit. You got to calculate that into the whole scheme of things. A little bit more information. Keep it here. We'll be right back. Good morning. If you're just getting up, you're going to join us here for the last 15 minutes of the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, 845. if that clock in the car's not working. That happens here, and I won't even admit to maybe having to go back to the office at 6:45 this morning. Called Patty, the office manager, Harry, and I should have called you. Yeah. And sure enough, the alarm goes off.
The alarm goes off. The phone's ringing in my house. You know what happens? You know what happens at 7 o'clock in the morning when you're not expecting a phone call? You're always thinking the worst. Right. So the phone rings. It's the alarm company. And she said, should we call the police? I said, yeah, call the police. And then our office manager called me up. She said, what do I do? It was Harry. I go, okay, listen, Harry's waking up early. Woke up at 5:30 this morning.
A little earlier, but okay.
To do the show. And he had to go back to get some notes that he prepared for the show because this isn't easy. Makes it look easy, but it's not. And the alarm went off. And I'm like, okay, cool. I go, Harry, just call me next time. When your alarm goes off, just call me next time.
Well, everyone's waking up early here.
But it was fun.
Yes. And if you're just joining our show again at our new time, this is 8 to 9 o'clock. We brought in Dana Cooper, Laurie Glass. We bring in all the top agents. These guys, Cooper Glass Homes, Max Brook Realty, awesome. Always love. The transactions we did last year were absolutely a blast. And the clients still reaching out, and everything goes great when you work with professionals, and that's really key. Before the break, guys, we want to dip our toes into insurance because it's going to affect us. It already really has. The hurricanes down in the south in Florida, it's been devastating to the market down there. I mean, homes are now dropping prices down in Florida. Believe it or not, there's some areas that have dropped their prices. The condominiums are impossible to sell because the association fees have gone
way up. That's exactly right.
And now we've got these wildfires out west just wrecking huge amounts of real estate all over. I mean, 12,000 homes have been destroyed in California. You guys, insurance companies are starting to pull back, and they're not going to insure the house. And one of the things, Dana, you just brought it up, they're going to use their, with the drone equipment, it's easy for them. They can use satellite, they can use images, they can go out there. They're definitely going to the homes, and they're starting at the roof. They can visibly see of whether or not this is going to be something they're going to insure. And they're going to increase that sales price. What else have you seen, other things you've seen just like this?
So yeah, absolutely. They're if your roof's old, it's gonna be cited, right? Because if it doesn't come out during inspection, it could come back again with the insurance. So and sewer lines. Sewer lines is another one that you can walk around a house with buyers, and right, you can see if you may be able to know if there's a roof that's older, or that the hot water tank or the furnace is older. But you don't know what's happening under the ground because nobody can see it. Yeah,
unless you're a mole. Unless you're a mole, you have no idea what's going underneath there.
Right. So we always recommend that buyers do sewer scopes. And that's really, really important. It's like a house colonoscopy, we call it.
Yeah.
I like that one. Laura, you mentioned also, though, reminding us of what do you call it, the Great Flood?
Yes, August 11th, 2014.
Uh-oh. And tell everybody again, remind them what was going on. Again, we had horrible rains that summer, and it's like the whole region of Huntington Woods.
Yeah, it was the sewer system, basically, that failed. It got overwhelmed, and it went into people's basements everywhere, right? Huntington Woods, Oak Park, Berkeley, all the way to Warren,
right?
Yeah,
Royal Oak.
Macomb,
I think I remember hearing something like there was like $500 million in damage in the basements of like the GM Tech Center. So I mean, there was really some serious damage. But bottom line is, I think people don't understand the difference between flood insurance and water backup.
Right, all the other kinds you can
into
purchase.
Your basement.
Okay.
That's not a flood, right? A flood is when waters rise and your house floods from exterior water. But if you have breach in your basement or a sewer line backup because your sewer line's deteriorating, you really need coverage on your policy for that. It's something I tell everyone who I help buy a house. That is one thing I learned very early, and it's just something nobody shares a lot, especially in this area. We have older sewer lines. They're going to fail. They are expensive to fix, and you need to have coverage.
Yeah, it's not unusual. And when you see in these older neighborhoods, they do have to. And Harvey, you've been a big proponent for a lot of years. I've known you for a lot of years. You've always said, get that house colonoscopy. Go ahead, get the camera, put it down the sewer lines. But that was a great flood of August 11, 2014. It happens. If you live in Michigan, I don't care where it is, you could have moisture in your basement. It's a natural thing that happens. If you haven't had it, just consider yourself lucky. But most people have had some kind of moisture in their basement. And what you're talking about, you really got to talk to your homeowner's insurance person about getting that coverage. Everybody wants to chintz on coverage until they need it, and then they kick themselves. Listen, you're buying a home, your biggest investment in your life, your family lives there. Make sure you're covered for a lot of things. And then to your point, when the roof inspection and everything, homeowners insurance companies will go ahead and they can automatically increase your insurance if they feel that your roof is too old or you have a defective situation. I've seen it many times. We get the calls from clients all the time on that. So they're being very astute. And unfortunately, what's happening in California, what happened in Florida with the hurricane, you're just seeing it. Insurance companies sometimes do not want to insure property. Very rarely in Michigan. Very rarely in Michigan.
Well, it could happen to us here where our prices of homeowners insurance just simply go up because some of the states that aren't affected by natural disasters, right, we don't have that as much, but someone's going to pay for this horrible devastation that's been occurring. Again, when I see a hurricane, I'm like, oh boy, our insurance is going up. Now we see
That's right.
They're going to get the money somewhere. But how important is here? You make the point, and Laurie, call your insurance guy and talk about these other things. These are very important things that you can do to insure yourself. You'll find out quickly when you're underinsured, and you'll wish that you had the additional insurance. And usually, it's such a small amount of money. Laurie, you mentioned that flood insurance. Flood insurance is when you're in a flood zone, and you can't buy flood insurance unless you're in a flood zone, and that's all determined by the flood maps through FEMA. The Federal Emergency Management Association, or agency. So again, you're not in a flood zone is one thing.
Right.
Laurie's talking about if these sewer lines back up, if something catastrophic happens, if the sewer line's a mess, or something at the substation just blows up. So a lot of things you can do to protect yourself.
And by the way, you as realtors, we've had transactions where you explain it to the seller, and the seller and the buyer will come together, and maybe they'll split. They'll split it. Mm-hmm. Maybe somebody will pay more, maybe somebody will pay less, but usually it's worked out because everybody knows. Because if you don't get it done and you put the house back on the market, it gets out in the community that, hey, this deal flipped because of the sewer. You can't hide anything from anybody.
Yeah, you got to share that information.
So, your big thing is you should put it on the seller's disclosure, Harvey, but I think that people will know. So you're going to be able to come together and make that transaction work out. We've seen it all the time.
Absolutely. I mean, that is the number one inspection result we negotiate is the sewer line. So people should understand for insurance.
Make it a win-win situation. And again, reach out if you're thinking about purchasing a house in an area. There's a couple different things I always tell people. Way before you're thinking about buying that house. So if you're buying a house this spring, now's the time. You want to check your credit. You want to really start the real approval process. Not you call willy-nilly some guy and they said, oh, here's a pre-approval letter. Those are still out there. Those are worthless. Those deals typically blow up. But you can check your credit to make sure that's a good situation. You can call an insurance company, your current car insurance company, and say, hey, I'm thinking about buying a house in these cities. Roughly, what's this going to cost me? Mm-hmm. And there's so many different things you can do to really put a pinpoint where your price range is going to be. So just dealing with more smart people, have these smart conversations. And guys, I won't let you go without giving me some feedback on this. Communication's the key. It is everything. Once you don't communicate, title company, in 2024, Harvey's biggest rant, and you don't call me and you ghost me for 4 days on a transaction, remember, our buyers also need information or listing or selling agent, whoever you're on the transaction, communicate. If you're part of the transaction, step up your game, level up. We say level up for 2025.
Listen, again, it's about having good partners. When you have a good agent who works with a good lender, works with a good title company, right? And it's about number of transactions. You said, like most agents do, what is it, 2 to 9,
2 to 3,
7
whatever
a year.
Yeah,
I mean, Dana and I are blessed to do anywhere between 80 and 125 deals a year, right? So we work with title companies who answer our call.
Oh, yeah.
We work with lenders like you guys who we know will get the job done. And it's costly to get involved in making a purchase, doing an inspection, doing your house colonoscopy, right? Yeah. Getting your appraisal. You're already over $1,000 in all of that, and then you can't get your loan approved. Got to work with great people. That's the bottom line.
When I make a call, and we try to impress this upon people, we'll make a call. When somebody tells me, I've got it, I'm getting it done, I hang up the phone, and I know it's getting done. Mm-hmm. All right, I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to go back and forth with somebody. And when you do a lot of transactions, you're fortunate enough to be part of the community, you do a lot of transactions, that is peace of mind. You can lay your head down on your pillow. Now, we've all had shaky transactions. If you're doing business, you're going to get some shakier transactions, out of the box, non-cookie cutter transactions. But you want to lay your head down on your pillow at night knowing that your client is rest assured with your advice and that you gave the proper advice, because you're relying on people. Nobody does this by themselves.
That's right.
Okay, we don't do it by ourselves. You don't by yourselves. You have to have partners that are taking care of the transactions for you. And we're lucky enough, fortunate enough to have that done. So I agree with you. You make a call. Everybody says, well, I got a person. Well, make sure you're going to the right person. We all have people, but you got to go to the right person to get it done. All right. And those are the people that are up at 5:30 in the morning, that are doing hundreds of transactions a year, that are driving neighborhoods just for the fun of it because they want to see what's going on in the neighborhood. Right. I drive neighborhoods for the fun of it on the weekends. I do, because I like to see what's going on. How can I be expert in my field if I don't know what's going on in metropolitan Detroit?
No, absolutely. Listen, we're going to be in probably 8 or so neighborhoods this weekend alone.
Yeah.
Dana and I.
All right, give where everyone can reach out here.
So you can reach us at 248-658-8030 or follow Cooper Glass Homes on Instagram or Facebook.
Cooper
I like
Glass,
that.
awesome. Listen, first show of the new year, new time, 8 to 9. Awesome, just like I thought it would be, Harvey, and you were great, and thanks for waking up at 5 o'clock.
I left my
for
notes at
having
the
us.
office. All right, we got Pat Caputo coming up with sports. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. Want to thank Dana and Laurie, Cooper Glass Homes for joining us. They're out at Maxbrook Realty, and you can find us at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker, Capital Mortgage Funding. We will see you next Saturday.
Thanks for having us.